squabble up, squabble up, squabble up.
No, 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 no! Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up!
Nobody pray for me. It been a day for me. Well, yeah.
Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances, but let's not.
Oh boy, it's Monday morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. We like to say a new edition of Let It Be Known. New edition. It's not Bobby, Ricky, and Ralph, but it's Stacy and it's Nielle. She is joining us from LA. Our new co-host is with us this morning, and she is brightly shining, fresh. She's down there where Kendrick Lamar lives. And
Okay.
but Nia, welcome to Let It Be Known. It is absolutely exciting to have you join Let It Be Known.
It's such an honor to be a part of this show, but also to work with you, Stacy. Working in Black media and working with the LA Sentinel for so many years, I used to always see your name, and I was like, "Who is Stacy Brown?" At first, I thought you was a woman because this was pre-internet. I didn't know who you were, and then when I finally met you, it was just such an honor. So to watch your work, to read your stories, and then to be sitting, as your co-pilot, it's just an honor. So I'm happy to be here.
It is absolutely my privilege. I'm so glad that you went through the whole thing with Greer. She could be really tough on folks and unreasonable on folks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
Only
came
on me. She's unreasonable on me. That's it.
No, this came at such a time for me, as part of the 92% Black women who voted for Kamala Harris.
Uh-oh.
We were just trying to figure out and find ourselves in this new world that we live in. And, I just was like, I don't know how I feel about politics, how I feel about resisting, how to, get involved. But once Donald Trump became president and all these things started happening and started talking to Greer, I felt that there was no other place or space that I could really just contribute than, in the space of the Black press and the legacy that it holds. So thank you for helping me find my way back.
Well, she's talking about me, folks. She's got such an amazing resume herself. Why don't you tell Let It Be Known's audience a little bit about you before we break into the topics of today? And we have a special guest as well today. But tell folks a little bit about you. What you've done.
I mean, as one of my mentors used to say, Brenda March Mitchell from LA Sentinel, I just wash windows. I just fit in where I'm needed. But in the media space, I've worked in radio with Radio One. Kathy Hughes is another mentor of mine. Love her so. I've worked in television, helping create Fox Soul. I work with the Shade Room. So I love to mix culture and politics. And I like to stay rooted in, where we've grown as a Black people and how we've got our messaging. And that's always been through the Black press. So shout out to Radio One, LA Sentinel, Fox Soul, also another partner, one of the few streaming partners with the Black press in the Black network. So glad to be a part of that. And we'll talk a little more about that in the days to come. But yeah, that's my background, just community oriented, politically oriented, and I love our culture.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And folks will easily find that out as you say in the days and weeks to come. But okay, so I guess we got to start off. The game was the game, of course. I was really happy that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I certainly could not root for who Orangey would call MAGA Mahomes. So, so I couldn't root for him. Say again.
I said, okay.
So it was good to see Jalen Hurts. somebody who recognizes the blood that runs through his veins is somebody like that win. But here's the big story. As we see a little clip there, but the big story, Niel, of course, they not like us. Uh,
Mm, they
what?
not. They're not. They really not.
um, well, they ready. What people ready? Because for a while we didn't, folks. There was speculation he wasn't even gonna perform that song.
And I think that is what really we have to be cautious of, because the NFL, his camp, no one said that he wasn't going to perform that song. And it just became this big headline. And I think the underlining tone behind that is we have to be careful and pay attention to how media just picks up on things and spreads rumors, because nobody ever said from either camp, Apple Music, Rock Nation, Kendrick Lamar's camp, or the NFL, that he wasn't going to perform that song. So how did that become such a thing? I didn't get that part. I always thought
Yeah,
that he was going to do that song,
I
because
thought he had to.
yeah, that's why he's at the Super Bowl. Come on.
But now, listen. I said beforehand. See, I'm not. See, my hip hop, my
Mhm,
rap, is Eric B. and Rakim, LL Cool J, back in the day, Run DMC and all that stuff. I know that rap has totally changed and evolved, and in some areas gotten so much more sophisticated, and in a lot of ways, to a lot of people, better. And
right,
Kendrick is considered like one of the best at it today.
mhm,
Um, the performance, they had a lot of messages in that performance, and I told you beforehand, it went over my head, but I was reading up on some of it. I do know that Donald Trump was in the audience, which made it even more stunning with the all these black folks
mhm,
wearing red, white, and blue, and
mhm,
Kendrick keeping it 100% black regardless. But
mhm.
what Samuel L. Jackson being Uncle Sam, and I saw what's her name go lose her mind. What is this? The white girl, the former NBC and Fox girl. I forget her name, but whatever. She lost her mind. Something about Uncle Sam is white.
Ooh, ooh. That's exactly why we needed Uncle Sam to be Samuel L. Jackson. Exactly why. But
Oh
Stacey,
gosh,
I felt the most patriotic, the most American that I felt since Donald Trump was in office yesterday with Kendrick
that is
Lamar.
interesting.
Yeah,
Wow, go
I felt
ahead,
the
girl.
most patriotic, the most. I mean, because just the symbolicness of the flag, and it's all Black people, right? Because we know who built this country. It's Black History Month. I mean, his reference to 40 Acres and a Mule, Camilla Moore, the co-chair of the Reparations Committee here in California, she went bananas. She did a post. She went bananas with that 40 Acres and a Mule, because he also said this is bigger than the music. It's bigger than that. And so he was just in tune with, and he could have went black and brown, because GNX, he has some Latinos on there and the mariachi band lady singing. He chose to be unapologetically Black in a time where DEI, cousin to
Yep.
affirmative action, is gone. And so it was just that the references to the prison. Some people are saying that there were references to the prison yard because it was like concrete. It was just so many metaphors that you have to just digest. We're going to be talking about this for a few more days.
But and then obviously, I mean, he went straight for as somebody said, with the whole thing with Drake, game over. I mean, he went for his throat, and I thought the little part with Serena, and we know that Drake had been kind of attacking her here and there, and she got her sea walking. That was and she's from people forget she's from Compton.
Yeah, and that they say that was a nod to protect Black women. And in one of his songs, he referenced that, and there was a comedian that tried to make a big deal about that. But I think he was even speaking to that. protect Black women. Compton, the correlation between her and Compton and him being from Compton. It was a lot of things in there that was just like I said, I feel very patriotic this morning. I do.
And and folks, first of all, it was the first solo. I mean, SZA made an appearance, which was great, but it was the first time that you had a rapper be the artist. It was a solo, basically a solo performance, with the exception of the um appearance by SZA. But so he made history, and he took his moment and he did what he wanted to do in his moment.
And let's talk about the song that he sung with SZA. Of course, he did Luther, but he also did All the Stars, and that was from Wakanda. Okay, so it was just the essence of Blackness was all in that, and I know Trump had to feel it because they said he left shortly after the halftime performance. Okay,
He's out. He was
take
out.
that.
But the other thing, people say, okay, he's the first president to ever attend the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. You know how much? So this guy talking about getting rid of this, get rid of that, cutting costs. It costs $20 million for him to go to the Super Bowl. You know that, with the
And when
Secret
I
Service and everything else.
And when I saw that, all I could think about was welfare recipients. You know what I'm saying? Trying to take SNAP away, and you the main
Yep.
SNAP
Yep.
receiver. Okay.
Yep. Yep. 100%. And what really did not, here's something that a lot of people didn't see live when it was happening, because I didn't notice it. The Palestine protest.
Oh,
You had a couple during the performance, Kendrick's performance. You saw it was two people who ran onto the field with the Palestinian flag, and they were tackled and arrested. And I'm seeing the social media about that. Folks was like, "Get me their information. I'm bailing them out," and stuff like that. But um, it was
I think
good
that
that
was
that was
part of the perform. I think that was part of
see
the message. I really,
see
really do.
yeah, and but it's being report. And you said something at the top of the show. You got to be careful how you look at how people report stuff, because I got the feeling too when I saw it later, because I didn't even notice it, to tell you the truth,
Mhm.
until later. But I got the feeling too. I'm like, wait, was that a part of it? The way that this guy, it was two of them, I believe, that came out with that flag. It seemed like it was in tune with the show.
It was so in tune, and like we say, we can't confirm, but even if it wasn't, it spoke to the tone of what that whole performance represented, and it was freedom. It was freedom of speech, and a lot of people feel that way, and I just think it sent a overall the performance sent a strong message to the Blackness, that we built this country just as much as anybody else, and that we do have a right to say that 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. Kendrick Lamar, okay? The whole performance, the flag, the A minor, to hear that entire arena say A minor, that was just, it was amazing.
Yeah. What was Drake doing? Was he even watching? Could he have watched?
He's he's been walking around with this sweatshirt with bullets in it with smoke coming out of it. So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the smoke was coming out the sweatshirt yesterday.
he he took yeah, he's like like Greer said, adding to his lawsuit. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, because also among the many messages, the one of the few messages I got, because again, I'm not that bright like Niel. She got all the messaging out of that. But but
You gonna some things you catch later, Stacy. You gonna catch it later.
well, was the thing, he it's like, hey, this is truly standing on business. Everybody's talking about standing on that dude. He said they're gonna sue you, and then he went on to say, okay, bring it on, because he did the song. He direct reference to Drake. Um, So he was like, "Okay, bring it on. I'm standing on
Right.
business."
He looked straight in the camera and said, "Say, Drake, I see you like I'm young." Okay. It was like, I mean, he looked straight in the camera, like, don't get it confused.
And look, Super Bowl is the biggest audience there is, right? There's no bigger audience than the Super Bowl. So I'm pretty sure Drake and his lawyers are like, okay, let's add another zero to what we're gonna see in that lawsuit if they prevail.
Right.
I can't see. I gotta see some sort of resolution, not between him and Kendrick, but between him and the record label.
Right. And I thought like the overall, I love the way another rumor that was started that wasn't true was that they weren't going to sing Lift Every Voice at
Yes.
and where did that come from? Because Legacy was booked months ago.
Well, the thought was that there was a few things that was because Commissioner Goodell took away that end racism, end zone, and of course because Trump was there, they wanted to not because there was an order that went out from the one order that did go out from the NFL was that they were not going to tolerate kneeling because Trump was in the audience. I mean, they didn't necessarily say because Trump was in the audience, but they said they were not going to tolerate kneeling during the national anthem.
Hmm. But yeah, there's
But
Legacy right there. She did an
yeah,
amazing job. I'm glad that that was just a rumor. And then like to your point, they took in racism and replaced it with choose love. And you saw that on the back of all the helmets. And so it was like give or take, but I'm just glad that overall to me the Super Bowl was so black. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
love my favorite commercial. My favorite commercial was the Nike commercial with all of the females. Okay. My Juju Watkins, you had Caitlin Clark, you
Yep.
had the girl from the Las Vegas team,
Yeah,
Asia,
yeah, yeah, Wilson.
Asia Wilson, and the slogan was "You can't win, so win." I loved it. That was
Yeah,
my favorite commercial. And another commercial that I really enjoyed. There it is, right there. That commercial was
yeah.
really nice. Another one that I enjoyed was Harrison Ford's Jeep commercial.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Mhm,
Harrison
mhm.
Ford. Wait a minute. Was it the makeup or did he just not get too much older lately? I thought Harrison Ford was like 90 years old now.
He Indiana Jones is old, but he still has it. I'll still go to a Star Wars movie or Indiana Jones movie to
Yeah.
see it. There he is, right there.
Okay,
That
so speaking of the commercials, you
mhm.
know, and keeping in theme with like it talked about Kendrick and the blackness and the Super Bowl being black and the commercials. That Snoop Dogg Tom Brady commercial. Um, do you think that it would have hit even more harder or it would have resonated more had Snoop not did the Trump performance a couple weeks ago?
Absolutely. I'm from LA. I love Snoop Dogg, but I just felt this was tone deaf and he's just totally out of the loop with everything. Like pick a side, bro. You know what I mean? You can't go and perform for the Klan and then come back and tell us pick a side. I mean, I know money, supersedes everything, but it was just to me tone deaf. Like he just doesn't get it right now. He gets
Yeah.
it, but he doesn't get it.
Folks, what y'all think? We want to hear from y'all. Put it in the chats. I see Orange G is saying that there was the SU band, the Mardi Gras Indians, and the all-female black jazz band. Um, what do y'all think about these the commercials to stand up to all hate Snoop's and Tom Brady's message? Tom Brady, by the way, was wearing a $745,000 watch.
I saw that watch. I just knew it was expensive when I saw it. It just looked I didn't know what it was, but I was like, that's an expensive watch.
You could buy a house with that watch. 745,000.
Yeah, but shout out to the Southern band. They performed, which was, I would have preferred the Grambling band because I went to Grambling. But either way, HBCUs were represented. I love the way they honored the individuals that were killed in New Orleans a few weeks ago on Bourbon Street. So I think New Orleans did an excellent job of hosting the Olympics, giving you that culture leading right up to Mardi Gras. Okay.
Trixie says that the only side Snoop pick was money.
Hmm. Right,
we gotta
right.
we gotta get in a couple of more things if you got on your plate there, Neil. If you want to bring them out before our guest should be here shortly at the top of the hour. But there's a couple more things I know you got on your mind, so let's talk about those as well.
Oh no, I'll let you. If we're gonna transition, I'm gonna let you take it.
Well, a couple quick things. One, folks, you talk about the president. We have to mention this morning because we got to give you a little bit of news. New York Attorney General Letitia James and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg have been put on this hit list of Donald Trump's, in which he has revoked any access to classified information, and he has prohibited them from entering any federal facility. That includes that includes federal facilities means federal courts. Letitia James is a federal prosecutor. How does that work? It's he also took away, as many might know by now, the other day, Biden's security clearance. The hit list continues with this man, and it's just unfortunate that someone in that position. People talk about me being petty, and that's okay. But someone in that position being this petty, this vengeful, America has a problem, Neil.
Yeah, in the words of Beyonce, okay? She said it. We do have a problem. I mean, when we look at that and then we just look at everything that happened last week from the Department of Education to the Treasury Department and members of Congress not being let into those facilities. I mean, we're in a different time, and one of the things that troubles me about all of this is how do we mobilize as Black people to address these issues from Letitia James, because if you think of her and you think of Alvin Bragg, you have to think about Fonnie Willis. And she's on the list. He just hasn't come for her yet. You think
Yeah.
about Benny Thompson and the January 6th committee members, that. So we're in a crisis. And I think for the beautiful thing, like I was saying, why to be in this space is how do we mobilize our people to combat these things? And if they don't know that they're important, how do we get them to understand the urgency that our nation is in? Because America has a problem right now.
Well, there was and I got a call last night from Dr. Chavis. There was Scott Bolden, the attorney for the National Newspaper Publishers Association, signed off on a press release
Mm,
that's going out this morning. There was a meeting we mentioned last week on the program of Black Press members on Friday. It was a Zoom call. A group attended, and through it, some of the bigger names, publishers, including Danny Bakewell Sr.,
mhm,
who really between him and the Philadelphia Tribune's Bob Bogle really put forth a part of what is a strategy on DE and I anyway. But here's just so you folks will understand the press release that went out this morning, or scheduled to go out early this morning. The National Newspaper Publishers Association, representing the Black Press of America, has announced the planning and implementation of a national public education and selective buy-in campaign across the nation in direct response to those corporate entities that have dismantled their respective diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments, programs, and staff. And NMPA Chairman Bobby Henry, in a quote, says, "We are the trusted voice of Black America, and we will not be silent or non-responsive to the rapid rise of renewed Jim Crow racist policies in corporate America. The Black Press of America continues to remain on the front line, keeping our families and communities informed and engaged on all the issues that impact our quality of life." So a selective buy-in campaign involves exercising the right, according to the press release, to select what we spend our money on and who we spend our money with. And so they list the file. We won't name them. You can see the press release later on Black Press USA Today or any of the newspapers that you subscribe to in the Black Press. But they have a list of companies that have publicly retreated from DE&I policies. So the Black Press is in action, and of course, Dr. Jamal Bryant is leading a protest as well with DE&I. He has a very strong following there too. That he's mobilized thousands of people to, as Angela Connolly writes in, let your money be your voice.
Right. And Dr. Jamal Bryant will be joining us tomorrow to talk about that. So that's pretty exciting. And he wants over 100,000 people to join a 40-day fast against Target. He's going to give us more details, but he already has 40,000 signatures and counting. And so he'll be joining us tomorrow to give us all the details about the fast, how you can get involved. I know here locally over the weekend, the SCLC chapter and the NAN chapter did a I would say rally at Costco's here in Inglewood, and they gave out gift cards, and they wanted you to buy with who supports you. And we know that Costco is somebody who kept their DEI program. So there are all these different movements going on, and hopefully we'll be able to be a source where we could pull them all together so we could be more effective instead of all these different pockets of things moving.
There you go. And one other note too on the news front. Now you mentioned earlier about, you used the term tone deaf. Groups representing some of South Africa's white minorities responded to a plan by President Trump to offer them refugee status and resettlement in the United States. But they responded by saying, no thanks. They don't want any part of this. Now, Trump has claimed he has been, I don't know if it's authentic or not, but I'm going to use the term anyway, in a rage about, because of course, his co-president is from South Africa, Elon Musk, but about allegedly the government, they're taking land from white folks, and he's talking about how wrong it is. What's been going on for 400 years in America?
Hmm.
So give me a break with that.
A
They
big
said
one.
thanks, but no thanks. David Youngblood is right. But I'm sorry, Niel.
No, I said a big one. He called all those other countries shitholes, and right now, sometimes I feel like we're living in one. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad to say, but it just, for me, this whole situation as a Black person, it makes me want to figure out how to be a world citizen and how to, because everything that we've been thought to believe in, or the hope and the legacy that we stand on, he has just dismantled it and continues to dismantle it. And this is the third week. So, I mean, I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to come either.
Right. Who wants to come here? It's
Okay.
like it's like inviting somebody to a war-torn land. Because this place is becoming just as you described, what he tried to claim Haiti and other places were.
Right.
And,
That's what it feels like.
and it's every moment of every day that we keep getting bombarded with stuff, and that's been his strategy, right? And the
Mhm.
strategy of these supremacists, the strategy of these MAGA folks as well, is to just throw everything out there, just keep throwing stuff out there and keep you distracted here when they are doing some dastardly stuff over here.
Right. Because I really am concerned about what Jared Kushner is doing in that White House. Him and the Kushner corporations and all of the corporate things that they're doing while they're distracting us with all of the trauma of the past. They're
Right, right.
in there doing corporate greed, selling all of our information, and we haven't even touched Elon Musk. I mean, we should all be scared. Okay. Very scared as what is happening, having our information. I mean, We don't know if we're gonna get our tax returns. We don't know if
Right.
our grandparents are gonna get their social security. And why? Why? Well, I don't understand. Well, greed is the reason why. We know that that's part of the reason, and racism.
Well, of course, that's always the underlying thing here. But I guess we'll get some more answers on as much as he can give us tomorrow from Jamal Bryant on
Yes, and I want to.
strategizing.
Yes, and I want to talk to him, Stacy. I've been in my soul, I've been wrestling with, we read the same Bible, the black church and the evangelicals. Okay. We praying to the same God. I just don't understand. Is God answering their prayers and not ours? Because they seem to be winning. The evangelicals are winning. I need like like Jacob wrestled with God. It's wrestling with my spirit. We read the same Bible. One is practicing systemic racism, and we trying to keep our freedom. I need some help, Pastor Jamal Bryant. I need you to help me reconcile this.
You know that it seems it's always going to seem for a time that the bad guys are winning. It's always going to seem that way for a time. Um, and at some point, because evil does tend to live a long time. But at
Mm,
some point, I mean, we've talked about it on this show. The one thing we don't we got to remember is that eventually Hitler fell. Eventually, Idi Amin was taken out. Eventually, Saddam Hussein, whether you agreed with how America did it or not, in other words, dictators and that type of the type of hate that you see, eventually it goes away. Something else comes along, but it does go away eventually. It's about weathering the storm, really, right? When you think about it like that, it's about how do we survive this to fight another day? And
but we're
one of the things we can't do is give up and give in. That's the thing.
right, right. I know. I totally get it. I just need a little counseling from the pastor because my spirit.
she needs to be put a little bit adjusted there, right?
I
She
do.
needs
I do.
some adjustment.
Yeah. I need Paula White. Paula White has been named the chair of the White House Faith Council. Okay, Paula White. I-
Yeah, just when you think it can't get worse, right? And I think that's also part of the problem. When you think it can't get worse, it gets worse. But remember, though, remember, Niel, and I know you know this, but remember, folks, they told us if you gave them this power, this was what they were going to do.
Mhm.
There's no question that we were prepared. But what the problem was, and I said it then, and I'll say it again. Hillary Clinton was one of the most qualified candidates for president, but she was a woman. If they wasn't gonna put a white woman in there, I just couldn't see. And I listen. I'm one, and like Greer would say, she's not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I believe, and nobody talks about this, and maybe you shouldn't talk about it, but I believe Hillary, uh, Vice President Harris actually won the election.
Oh,
I
I'm
believe
100.
that thing was stolen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just sit there. We have our guests, but we're gonna sit there for a minute because I do too. Two things that stood out to me. First thing is when Donald Trump won, he thanked Elon Musk
Yep.
for those voting machines. And when he won, Hakeem Jeffries did a press conference and he listed about 4 states that went Democrat for the governor, for the state like legislators, and for congressional members, but she didn't get those states. How does that happen? How do Democrats went up and down the ballot in certain states, but she doesn't get those delegates? Okay. And then Donald Trump. So I just think that Democrats have to do a better job at, sometimes it's okay to take a plate from Donald Trump. Okay. If call a spade, he took the election. Let's start that conversation going and see how far we get.
Yeah, the 2020 election was not stolen. The 2024 election was stolen. And my point with bringing up Hillary Clinton was that fact that they wasn't going to allow a qualified white woman to be president. There's no way that a very qualified black woman was going to do it. And Emmett Hobley says that don't worry, evil catches up with evil people. Orange says North Carolina comes to mind. And you remember too, and just to put a bow on this, Niel,
Also,
that
what's the name?
as as uh as time went on, that vote count, Trump, they say he had 51%, then it was 50%, then it was 47. The vote count kept changing, and then finally we stopped hearing about the final count.
Right.
So look,
Well, Stacey, you know what? Maybe we need to take a little deeper dive and do some investigative reporting and start reporting on that. Okay, since nobody
yeah.
else wants to.
There you go. Well, the birth of Hillman TikTok. We are diving into a movement that's not just about education, it's about resistance, I should say, empowerment, and the fight to preserve Black history in the face of growing attacks at a time when Trump and his allies are dismantling DE&I initiatives, banning books, and working to erase Black history from schools. A powerful, powerful response has emerged, not from the halls of Congress or university boardrooms, but from the digital world of TikTok. It all started with Dr. Leah Barlow, a professor at North Carolina A&T, who posted a simple welcome video for her intro to African American Studies class. She thought she was speaking to her 36 students until the video went viral, reaching nearly 4 million people. What happened next was unprecedented. Black educators, experts, and content creators began teaching their own subjects online, forming what is known as HillmanTok University, a free digital learning space reminiscent of HBCUs and named after the fictional Hillman College from a different world. And at the center of this is our special guest, Cierra Hinton, a sixth grade teacher from Georgia, who recognized the potential of this growing wave. Hey, Sierra, thanks for joining. Let it be known.
Thank
Good
you for
morning.
having me.
This
Thank
is
you so much.
awesome. My, I first learned about Hillman Talk from my wife. She was like, "Oh my gosh," you know, like maybe I should take some class. But this is amazing. How did you could you have conceived of this? How did it come about?
No, I am still flabbergasted. um, it was a random snow day. It was a Thursday, which I mean, a snow day in Georgia. Can you believe it, right? But it was a work from home day here in I was scrolling and it was a couple of days after Dr. Varlow's initial video. And I actually initially saw Miss Shannon's Screenwriting 101 class, and I was like, oh, someone declared my major, and it was correct. And so then I scrolled again and I saw Dr. Christie's video, and I was like, okay, so is this an HBCU, or do we just happen to have like all the Black professors? Because you know how some institutions are. And because if I'm going to be in all of these fabulous courses with all these highly qualified professors, like what school am I in? What are our colors? What's our mascot? Because I want to represent my school. So
Right.
I spent the entire day actually trying to come up with the lore behind what is now called Hillman Talk. Somebody was like, "This better be an HBCU." Shout out to it's Brittany, not Spears. And I was like, let me wait, let me find out that let me find out that I woke up in Hillman. And she was like, I like the way you think. And I was like, well, should I call it TikTok Hillman? And she was like, no, call it Hillman Talk University. And so when someone was like, is this open enrollment? I did the next video and I was like, well, welcome. If you were scrolling on your timeline and then bam, there's a professor. Now your timeline is just flooded with professors. I think that's just how the algorithm works. And We just spent the entire day coming up with like video names of schools and um different types of like we came up with the colors and the mascots, and then somebody was like, "Oh, I got 5 professors," and I was like, "Wait, how did we get to 5?" Somebody
Right.
sent me like all of these professors and like the entire day. Like my notifications was just blowing up because they were like, "This is here's a professor, here's a professor, here's a professor," and I was like, "Wait a minute, y'all." I'm a math teacher and I have not found one single math class. Where is the STEM? Where is the math class? And someone was like,
Yep.
I have a math class. And someone did like a deconstruction of fractions. And then that same night, someone was like, I understand fractions better. And I was like, oh, we're on to something. So I spent the entire rest of the weekend because we did not go back to school that whole week. So I spent Friday trying to come up with lists, and then like I saw RAs and librarians, and like it was like a real university was forming, and I was like, oh, we gotta get this together. Like let's organize, let's get this together. So I don't know how, because like I just stayed like I can be laser focused with the blinders on.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until somebody was like, "Oh, I found you guys on Facebook," that I was like, "We're on Facebook? When did this happen?"
Right. I want to ask you. I want to ask you. You're talking about the professors. You have over 300 classes going on
Right.
TikTok. Can you
Daily
list?
growing.
I know. Can you list some of the classes that are offered at Hillman Talk? Tell us some
Okay,
of.
so we have some like real traditional classes like Spanish 101, Spanish 401, French. We have some photography courses, some law courses. But then what I find interesting is that we have some courses that are unique specifically towards us, towards us. So we have ethical issues in the criminal justice system, Black beauty culture, student
Mhm.
success, advanced racism 403, Spades 101, self-care is healthcare. And I
Wait,
know some,
hang on, Sierra. You said Spades 101? Let's go back
yes,
there for a second.
yes, and they really do be breaking it down, like the hierarchy of the suits. And then the one that I was really interested in was like, okay, if they're saying ace is high, what is the hierarchy of the cards? Like ace is the highest card, then king, then queen, and then if you do deuce, deuce is wild or whatever. Like they really be breaking it down, okay, like
Wow.
on a molecular level. So yeah, we have some really great lockology. We have some parenting classes for like for parents that have kids with autism. We have metaphysics. We have some spirituality courses. We have
Mhm.
so many courses based off of like the traditional courses that you would find in an actual
And Sierra,
HBCU. Yeah.
and tuition is like 150,000 a year, right?
Where? Not over here, not over at Hillman Talk, not over at this HBCU. No, sir. No,
So,
sir.
so,
No,
so, let me
ma'am.
so for somebody that's watching and they're like, okay, what is this? So you go to TikTok. Do you have to sign up for the class or can you just jump in? Is there like is this a semester thing or is this just kind of like a freestyle? You tap in when you tap in, and if you
Yeah.
don't, okay.
So there are some courses that are traditional styles, to traditional based, like the ones that started at the very beginning, like at because we started. Some people are confused, right? Some people think that we started like a month ago. We've actually started January 23rd, so we are only like 2.5 weeks old. So some of them you might have to go to the professor,
Mm,
find and see if they have courses at school.com, Coursera, Canva. Some courses are taught specifically on TikTok. So you might have to go on their lives and see when they're being taught specifically on live. But the best bet is to look at our course list or follow our page because we're constantly updating on a regular basis. Everybody is saying, "Hi, you're now you not only are you enrolled in Dr. Barlow's class or Dr. Christie's class or Miss Shannon's class, you're now enrolled in this." And it's because this is brand new and we are still in our we're just getting our sea legs. Everybody is trying to figure out the best way to do it. So the easiest thing for you to do is to find the professor that you want to follow and figure out what's their best method, because no two professors are the same. We have like I think 3 different Spanish classes taught by various different professors. So
Mhm.
And so you can you really can enroll here and I mean you can attend these classes and really learn basically just online for
mhm.
nothing.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We want to make sure that everything is accessible, that we make sure that you have the way to get your knowledge and your information as best as possible. Actually, one of our community members is in the waiting room that can help. They've been here helping me with the organization, and they could help explain because we just released our acceptance letters yesterday,
Oh,
Oh wow.
and our IDs, and she's part of the back end of things.
Okay, we
Uh,
can bring her in, but I want to ask you while we're bringing her in.
yeah.
There's been a lot of issues. Like if I go to Facebook or Instagram, there are like 4 different HillmanTok universities now. Okay, that's one issue that I'm seeing. Another issue that they're saying is that now you guys are being suppressed in the algorithm. Like the Pakistani lady took over, and
hmm
the American woman who went to Pakistan took over. And so, how are you guys dealing with these challenges to make sure that you're keeping control over what Hillman taught University was supposed to be?
Oh, coach, I think this is the perfect time for you to come in, actually.
Perfect.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. So, first for the first question that you have about us being on all different platforms. So because we haven't been up for that long, everybody kind of thought that the name was just really cool and trendy. So everybody's like, oh, let me just go start actual profile page or something like that. So there's actually a lot of different profile pages that are out there across all different platforms. So what we just decided to do is to go with the actual name of the HillmanTok University. So if it doesn't say the HillmanTok University, that's not us, unfortunately. There's just a lot of different people that just kind of came out and kind of just was like, oh, this is a good thing. And they pretty much just repurposed the videos that we've already posted. So it's not like, you get any official content or anything like that. It's just something somebody's just, double streaming.
So just to be clear, it's the Hillman Talk University, no periods, no dash, just that. Okay, got it.
Not on there. That is not us. It
Okay.
is. But
oh.
there's so many people that's been hitting us up and like, hey, I reached out to this person. Hey, I talked to this person. Hey, I talked to this person. And it's like, we don't know who that is.
Mhm. You
Like,
know,
like our IDs are free. I mean, this is free school. It's online. We're not charging for any of those services. But people have reached out to us like, hey, I paid $25 for an ID and I still don't have it. And it's like, that's not us. That's
wow.
not charged for any of our services. Now, if your instructor asks you for extra requirements for their course, then that's just what it is that they may need. And then you guys have to also understand that on the back end, some of these professors, they probably thought that they're going to have like maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 people in a class. And then now you wake up and you have like 500 people. And then the way that you thought that you were going to teach the class just became like a whole nother level. So now you have to go and get something such as like a Google Classroom or something else, and to
Right.
accommodate everybody. But of course, in order to get those type of things, you also have to like pay on the back end. So
Mhm.
if a teacher asks for something and you see that they have like a large magnitude of a class, then kind of help that instructor out. And that's another thing that we're like working with over here is like we real heavy on like professors, because without the professors being here to teach, we don't have anything. We don't have no platform. So we need to be willing to learn. Instructors willing to be here and give the information out.
Coach,
Definitely.
one of our viewers, RNG, is asking, are you guys receiving any backlash from the State Board of Education?
No, not as
No,
yet, but we know
we
what.
don't expect it neither,
Yeah, we
honestly.
don't expect it, but we also know that the lane that we did just get into may be a little, may be a little conflicting for some people. But I know
Mhm.
on our end, we didn't come in to like disrupt anybody or anything like that. We just
No.
education is out there for everybody, because not everybody has access to being able to go to college or being able to enroll in anything. You feel me, of that type of sort, especially for like people of color. We don't really have.
You guys have a lot of, as you mentioned, you have a lot of educators involved now. How do you ensure that the content remains high quality and aligned with Hillman Talk's mission?
Wait, can you repeat that question?
You have a number of educators now involved. How do
Mhm.
you ensure that the content, in other words, what they're teaching, remains high quality and aligned with what you set out your mission to be?
Honestly, I think we all are on the same ideals, right? We all know that there's a lot of things that we need to educate ourselves on. Everybody has been very, very, what's the word, very clear that we want to make sure that we get the information out there however best possible. I haven't seen any really silly like content as far as like teaching. The content as far as like the silliness has been on like campus life. Like that's where the social media aspect has come in at. Like I've seen like campus security walking around trying to make sure that everybody is on their P's and Q's. I've seen some great RAs like that. That's where the brevity comes in. But as far as like the quality of the education, like I have not seen, and I've been scouring all the TikTok streets. Like everybody has been tagging Hillman Talk University for when it comes to the quality control. Honestly, the students really the Hillman Talk University is really student led. Like if there's a bad class, like they will tell me, nah, we don't want this, and we let it go. So
Yeah,
honestly, it's really the students that handles the quality control. So the brevity is where if there was any riffraff, they'll let us know.
they would say, look, the way how the school is built and the way how we've already built up everything. If they see anything that they don't even agree with, they're like, hey, this professor is doing this and this and
I'm sure.
it's like according to the guidelines, because I'm just making sure. So they
Yeah, we do have our community guidelines. That's always been there from the very beginning. And that is also what Hillman Talk has been built on since the very beginning. It's always been like, what is our school colors? What is our mascot? So what are the courses that we want to see? So that's where the quality control comes from. So I don't think that as far as like when it comes to the vetting process of the professors and stuff like that, if there's and you know how we can be,
Right,
all right, we don't take no mess. So
right.
if you seen it at the Apollo, all right, if we don't, womp womp. That'll it's the same thing when it comes to our professors.
And that is the
Okay.
TikTok community. But on another note, TikTok still hasn't found a buyer. What happens, worst case scenario, if TikTok goes away? What's the contingency plan for the human TikTok University?
It's a great question. It's a great question. So we have some stuff. We have a solution for that. We can't speak on it right now, but we have a solution for that. Don't worry. Look, we are 10 steps ahead of everything.
Well,
Call
you
us
know,
Batman.
when that happens, you have to come back and tell us, right?
I mean,
Oh, is
breaking.
that an invitation? Are you inviting us back?
Look, the ancestors and the founders of the HBCUs, they're excited about this. I can feel it in my spirit. I mean, because you're taking the whole purpose of why they started HBCUs was to get us the education that we couldn't get to. And
Exactly.
you guys are doing that in this unique way with this new technology that we have. So, of course, yes, come back.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
speaking of and real quick, speaking of HBCs, like Mike V is saying a Hillman Talk scholarship would be nice. But is there, and as you said, Coach, thinking 10 steps ahead, thoughts of partnerships with any institutions, with HBCUs or other platforms?
Yes, we are working on something right now, so we can actually reach out to some HBCUs and see if they would be interested in working with us, and seeing if we can be like some sort of assistance to them, or see how they can work with us in some sort of way, just so that we can keep this going, and then we can also show like the brick and mortar businesses and schools and stuff like that, that there's also a new way that's coming through as far as technology, and we can be we can be the head of this. We can be ahead of this whole situation, and
Yeah.
HB basically benefit from this. You feel me? This could be like a turning point for all HBCUs. We've seen over the last couple of years, HBCUs have been doing a lot of different things. So if we incorporate this with those actual schools, this will be something for the books. This will be
That's the
revolution
beautiful
televised on social media.
that's the beautiful thing about this whole thing too, right? For everybody that wanted to be a part of an HBCU but couldn't, which I have received in droves, that email or that text message or that DM, like I've always wanted to go to school or go to college or wanted to go to a HBCU, but now I couldn't. And Hillman Talk is fulfilling that dream. Like we are giving people the opportunity to be a part of an HBCU, right? So why not partner up with an HBCU community, with an actual HBCU institution, and take this further? That's the beautiful thing about this. We are making so many people's dreams come true. We are giving people the opportunity to fulfill the dreams that were unfulfilled, right? Dreams unfulfilled coming true. And that's all that we want to do is just make things accessible, give education a broader audience, fulfill all the unfulfilled dreams. Like that's what Hillman Talk is really about.
To
Yeah.
add on to what you said, like yesterday, once we dropped the IDs and we started to see the people, we have people in different countries that don't even live in the United States that are people have reached out to us and asked us. They said, hey, I live in, I'm not going to say whatever country, I live in this country, and I
Hmm.
school my children, but I would like to know if I can enroll my 4 children into this university,
Wow.
and I would love for my children to get this type of information, because not only do we have like regular academic classes, we also have a bunch of elective classes. So there's people that's like teaching nursing, teaching how to lock hair, how to cook, how to, build
I
stuff.
was gonna mention your hair, by the way. I'm all for it. Look at that. Look at Coach Westby's hair. That
Right?
I like that.
I appreciate that. So yeah, it's a
I, I think before we let you guys go, I don't think we touched on Hillman. There's some people that are from a different generation. Why the name Hillman?
that's
I've always wanted to go to Hillman. It has been a part of like if I could go, like if I could have gone to a school, an HBCU, if
that was
Hillman was a real school, I would have gone to Hillman. Like that was the whole thing. Like these courses were popping up on the internet and on TikTok. Why not make Hillman a real place, right? Like I've watched a different world in my teens. I watched it in my 20s. I'm glad that it's back on Netflix now, which is the ironic serendipity of it all. Like
Mhm.
I'm about to watch it again for like the 35th time marathon of my life. Like I just love that show. It was so ahead of its time when when Dwayne says pick me, like do you, like when he tells Whitney to love him, like that broke network television records at the time. They, like, I remember listening to her my excitement for the show. I'm sorry, I'm a big social media pop. I mean, not social media, pop culture fanatic, and so like that is it. Diane Carroll, when she was like, I remember being like the first African American to have my to be the lead of a network television show, and I couldn't even have a parking space, and then going to the set of A Different World for that 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 show, that wedding premiere, that wedding taping, and seeing how far you guys come. Like A Different World is a staple, and the fact that there is a generation of students and people that do not know that show is a crime, because that show is so monumental for black sitcoms. Black sitcoms are dying out. And like, thank God we have Abbott Elementary right now, because like we don't really have a lot of black sitcoms in main television. And maybe main television is dying, I don't know, because of all the things happening in Hollywood, and the black in Hollywood as a whole. But like, I just wanted to go to Hillman.
Right, right, right.
TLDR, I just wanted to go to Hillman.
Okay. Neil?
Oh no, I mean, I think that's a great way to wrap this up, and a great way to continue to celebrate Black history with A Different World. You know, it was started with Bill Cosby. It was an extension of what, the Cosby Show. Denise went to Hillman. That's where Claire and Cliff Huxtable went. And for some of us, during this time, we were introduced to what HBCUs were. And this was our first experience of like, wait, especially me being from California, like, wait a minute,
Yes.
they're colleges that are only Black. And so that really did something for the Black community. And so shout out, happy Black History Month. We celebrate the Cosby Show and A Different World.
Wow.
Shout
Well,
out to Debbie Allen, the
Debbie Allen.
visionary that
Wow,
really
Debbie Allen.
shaped and reshaped the show, because when she took the helm after season two, like it really took on a life of its own. So like, sh- if I can meet Debbie Allen, I think my life would be like,
Complete.
woo, I love Debbie Allen.
Well, Sierra Hinton, we really, really appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing. A lot of folks are obviously on to this now. HillmanTok University. It is such a great thing. And it's such a great thing that you and the coach decided to join Let It Be Known this morning and tell the audience of the Black Press all even more about this. And yes, we will be calling you guys again. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh man, Neil, that was interesting stuff. Some good stuff.
Really. I mean, when we think about the legacy of HBCUs and what they were created for, and in this new technology we live in, and this is just a new way to educate our community, and I think it's awesome. And I hope that it inspires, people to want to go to a physical HBCU, because there's nothing like it. I mean, the professors are like, they become like your mini parents, you know what I mean? They care about your grades, and with HB, you just gotta go to class. Just go to class, just show up, and the
Show
professors
up.
will meet you where you are. But I think that's a great way to end the show. HBCUs, Black history.
Yeah,
I love it.
Black history. Neil, so day one is in the books
In
with
the
Neil.
and Stacey Brown.
Listen, thank you for bringing Sierra and the coach to Let It Be Known. And we're looking forward to tomorrow's conversation. As we think about tomorrow's conversation, and before we close out, Neil, and you kind of touched on it earlier, but what is one of the biggest things that you are hoping to get from Jamal Bryant tomorrow?
I think I love the fact that we're talking to the Black church. because when we think of, the civil rights movement, when we think of even slavery and the Underground Railroad and the significance of the Black church, it's always been the light on the hill that we went to. And so to have Dr. Jamal Bryant coming on to talk about a boycott and how we can mobilize together, I just hope that we not only take that, but there's also a fast attached to it, a 40-day fast. And so, I'm just hoping that this conversation will be the start or the continuation of how we mobilize as a Black community, not a people of color community, but as a Black community, because we know when the Black community does what we're supposed to do, it helps other people and it changes things.
No crawfish power, Gris.
What's
What?
happening?
That something going on with her and Orangey, obviously.
Uh-oh.
She's snapping back at him on something. But nonetheless,
No crawfish.
nonetheless.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's well, I think the fast starts after Mardi Gras, so we'll be safe.
Oh, she said we fasting. Okay.
Okay.
Shoot. I'm fasting.
It's
I'm
after Mardi Gras.
fasting from what? I gotta eat.
Or you could juice. You can juice.
I can juice.
You can
Listen,
juice.
I need something tangible. So nonetheless.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, your fast can be just don't go to Target. How about that? Just don't
Oh
go.
yeah, I'm with you. Okay, I can do that. I can definitely do that. But we look forward to tomorrow. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we will check you out tomorrow with Dr. Jamal Bryant. Have a great day.